What's up, guys? I'm back again with your COVID-19 daily update, daily intel brief, again, whatever you guys want to call it. I'm going to throw some different numbers at you guys. Again, I'm trying to change it up every day so it's not the same information, as I've said multiple times now. So, with that, let's go ahead and jump into the numbers. Uh, so this brief is current as of April 1st, 2020, 18:15 Eastern Standard Time, which is local time for me. Right now, we're looking at 930,000 global confirmed cases with 46,782 confirmed deaths. So that's a rise of 9% in the last 24 hours in cases and a rise or growth of 11% in confirmed deaths. And I have the numbers down there if you're curious, 73,000 and 4,600. Uh, Key assumptions, nothing again has changed. We haven't hit the fourth yet. I did update this because for some reason I had never updated the date when I had made that key assumption a few days ago, so that was my bad. Uh, but I did update that. This is still the same. What we're seeing, guys, though, is we're already at 4,700 deaths in the United States. This is likely gonna hit 6,000 as early as tomorrow, and/or no doubt by the third. So we're definitely ahead of schedule, which is unfortunate. I was really hoping that some of the lockdowns that the cities were putting into place would slow it a little bit, but it doesn't look like that. It actually looks the opposite. It looks like we're increasing pretty quickly at a drastic rate right now. So case fatality rate is 5.6%. That has not changed since yesterday's case fatality rate. So that's a good sign, right? That we can start kind of gauging that. Uh, we'll jump into the country deaths now. So United States currently is doubling in deaths every 3 days. The UK and Germany every 4 days. Kind of almost every three, but closer to four. France got over that hump. They're at 5 days now. Same with Spain. And Italy is doubling every 8 days. They were at seven yesterday. Now they're doubling about every eight. So total deaths 4,700 for the United States, 2,352 for the United Kingdom, 4,032 for France, 925 for Germany, 9,387 for Spain, and 13,155 for Italy. What does that look like over a 24-hour period as far as gross? Well, the United States dropped by 4% from yesterday, so they had a growth rate of 24%. United Kingdom had a decently big jump up to 31%. Their numbers are going to continue to skyrocket, as I had mentioned a few videos ago. Uh, that's why I wanted to continue to monitor them. France was down a few percentage points. They're at 14%, 19% for Germany. Spain is right around that 10% that they've been at, and then Italy dipped again at 6%. So again, that's all good signs because Italy has continued to kind of drop over the last few days, and we'll get into that too when we talk about the serious critical patients. But overall, over the last 5 days, here's your percentage gross. United States is at the highest at 148%, so almost doubling every 2 days, right? We're basically there, that 2.5 day mark. Um, and then everybody else is staying true to that 3 or 4 days, as I mentioned. So let's go ahead. We're gonna jump over to the critical patients and the ones that are in ICU. So I'll blow this up so we can really see it. So I mentioned this yesterday that I wanted to continue to track this, right? Because I've been tracking it for a while, but I haven't really mentioned it to you guys. So I just want you to see the difference in a 24-hour period in the United States between the serious and critical patients to today's. So yesterday they had roughly 3988, 3,988 cases. Today they have 5,005 patients in ICU, guys. Compare that to Italy's number, right? Where they had a change of only 10, 12, is it? And then Spain had a couple of hundred different cases. This is huge because this is what's showing the people that are actually going to the hospitals. They're ones that are going to the walk-in cares, the ERs, and the ones that are actually being seen, right? And if you remember from yesterday, the New England Journal of Medicine said that they were seeing anywhere from a 37 to 50% death rate in patients on ventilators in the ICU. And what's scary is that the United States numbers just continue to jump drastically at this point, right? We've gone from deaths per 1 million population from 12 to 14, right? And I am doing my update 2.5 hours earlier than what I did yesterday. So these numbers are still going to change, right? These numbers are going to be higher over the next hour and a half, 2 hours as things continue to update. So keep that in mind. Scary stuff. It's unfortunate. We needed to do some strict guidelines or restrictions and stricter lockdowns in these cities. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. So I'm going to assess that we're going to continue to kind of see this rise drastically, exponentially over the next 14 days. And why do I say that? I'll bring this up here for you guys. Let me just move this. So I say that because if you come up here, this is the IHME modeling. This is what the United States Corona Task Force uses when they're briefing their models and kind of how they're basing their assessments and what they're trying to put into place for the United States. So as you see here, they're estimating the amount of beds that are needed, ventilators, and all that. And this is at the peak, right? So in 15 days, what they're assessing is that by April 16th, is when we'll hit our peak here in the United States. And that's the same for deaths per day, right? April 16th is the projected deaths, is when we hit our apex, our peak. If you look at the model that they're saying, which actually ties into kind of what I've been going over, I said, what was it, up to 26,000 deaths by the 9th, and best case scenario would be like 13, 14,000. So on April 16th, guys, they're saying that deaths per day average is going to be 2,607. That's insane. That's the highest out of any country that's seen so far. I think the highest was like 1,100, 1,200, right? This is double that amount. And they're saying that the best case scenario is 1,294 deaths. Worst case scenario is 4,000 deaths a day by April 16th. That's huge. That is huge. 1,294 is best case. That's if we go on lockdown, restrict the movement. People take this stuff seriously, which we're not seeing. We're not seeing that here in the US. So if we come to April 1st, right, they assessed that we're going to see 899 deaths, 806 to 970. We're on track for that. Right now, we're at like 670, right? And the day's not even over. So their modeling has been extremely accurate. I actually didn't realize that I had availability to the IHME models until yesterday. I pulled them up. I wanted to share it with you guys because this is just mind-boggling. But not only that, guys, when I talk about the apex or the peak of this, right? As this goes down, it's just not going to disappear overnight. Look at these deaths. It's still average 2,000 deaths a day. 2,000 deaths a day, right? We get a month from now in May, we're still looking at 1,600 deaths a day, 1,700 we round up, right? We get into mid-May, we're still looking at the numbers that we're seeing today. A month and a half from now is how many deaths we're having today in the United States, right? That's insane. And that's why they're saying that it's going to take anywhere out to possibly end of July, beginning of August before we really start to see this decline. Uh, and President Trump said yesterday, right, that be prepared for the next 30 days because we're going to see huge numbers. Unfortunately, it's going to be a perilous time here in the U.S. So I wanted to show you guys that. That's real eye-opening for me. Super sad news. Hopefully, you guys are all taking your precautions and you're staying home. You're washing your hands. You're not touching your face. But not only that, they've talked about wearing masks now, right? I'll, I'm gonna start rambling, right? I'll talk about the masks and the viral load theory tomorrow, uh, and why that's important. So yeah, we'll get into that tomorrow. Let's go ahead. We'll jump up into the states, guys. So again, I go through states pretty quickly. Connecticut, Maine, and Illinois, these are the big things that you got to pay attention to, are doubling every 72 hours in cases. But again, there's always that but when we talk about cases because I don't care about confirmed cases. Look at these numbers, guys. I talked about Michigan, Connecticut, and Massachusetts yesterday. I decided to start mapping them today and graphing them and following them. Michigan, Connecticut, and Massachusetts are doubling every 2 days. Illinois, New York, Maine, Louisiana, and New Jersey continue to double every 3 days. Look at this insane spike from New Jersey, right? 184 deaths to 355 in 2 days, right? Or excuse me, here's New Jersey, Brown. Yeah, 355. And then Michigan, there we go, I couldn't get it, is 337 deaths, right? Again, in 2 days, doubling. They were at 184, and then New Jersey was at 198. So I was clicking on the wrong thing. But again, that's insane, right? And if you remember from my video yesterday, I said expect these states right here, Illinois, New York, Louisiana, New Jersey, Connecticut, Michigan, right? Massachusetts, expect these guys to mirror New York's numbers very closely in the next week or two, or the next couple of days rather. And then in the next week, expect them to be over 1,000 deaths for each state. And again, if you want to look at New York's numbers, we take that into consideration. New York's at 1,941 deaths with almost 100,000 confirmed cases, right? They're at 80,000 confirmed cases. So what does that mean, guys, for the country, right? What does that mean for the U.S. projected growth? I decided to look out uh, and see when we're projected to basically surpass or pass Italy and Spain in total deaths over the next weeks. And for my projection, it's looking like between 5th and 8th of April is when we'll pass Italy and Spain for total deaths at that point. And that's going to be roughly right around anywhere at the time, most likely right around like that 15 to 20,000 deaths. It's actually, I think it's closer to 20,000, right? And the reason why that is I decided to do some more digging and I went back uh, to when Italy and Spain, right, had 400 deaths total. And I went back to when the United States had 400 deaths total. And yesterday, while we were at right around 4,000 deaths, I decided to say, hey, how long did it take Italy and Spain to go from 400 deaths to 4,000? Well, here's your answer: 12 days for Italy, 9 days for Spain, right? I then decided to see how long it took the U.S. because we're growing at an exponential rate, a lot faster than these countries. And again, our U.S. population is much higher, right? But it took U.S. 9 days as well. Well, then I decided to look at the growth rate. Italy averaged a 22% growth rate every day over those 12 days. Spain averaged a 28%, which there were some outliers. There was a few that were at like 60 and 55, which is going to boost their numbers. And then the US averaged 32% growth rate, so higher than the other two. But what's concerning, guys, is that after Spain, right, since we matched closely with Spain, Spain went 28%, and then the next following days they dropped. Once they hit 4,000 deaths, they had a growth rate of 20%, 19%, 18%, and 14% over the next 4 days, right? You come up here to the US, and today we still have a growth rate of 24%, 4% higher than Spain. And I assess tomorrow is going to still be right around that 25 to 30%. And the day after that, and the day after that, right? It's not going to go down like Spain. It's not going to go down like Italy. We're climbing right now. It's not going to go down for another 15 days, guys, another 16 days, which is scary. Super, super scary. So I'm going to throw another number out to you. Uh, Fun fact, not fun at all, right? Uh, but global confirmed deaths, the first 100 deaths to 1,000 deaths took 2 weeks. From 1,000 deaths to 10,000 global deaths took 38 days. And then from 10,000 global deaths to 20,000 global deaths, it took 6 days. And then again, another 6 days to go from 20,000 to 40,000. Again, guys, exponential growth. Very scary. Take this serious. Stay home. Wash your hands. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed today's updates. If I made a mistake, if I'm given some inaccurate numbers, let me know. I go through this pretty quickly. If you like anything, leave a comment. If there's something else you'd rather see in the videos, let me know and I'll try to add it. But stay safe, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.